Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I am going to be walking us through how to set up a Linux machine on a VirtualBox. Okay, VirtualBox is a Type 2 hypervisor. VirtualBox is a Type 2 hypervisor. So the question is, what is hypervisor? Hypervisor is an operating system that allows you to create virtual machines. Hypervisor is an operating system that allows you to create virtual machines. Okay, so unlike a regular operating system where you install application, unlike a regular operating system where you can install your application, hypervisor doesn't take application. Rather, it creates virtual machine. You create virtual machines on hypervisor. And what are virtual machines? Virtual machines are machines that you cannot touch. Unlike physical machines, virtual machine, we can touch them. So we have type 1 hypervisor and we have type 2 hypervisor. And what's the difference between type 1 and type 2 hypervisor? Type 1 hypervisor is when you install the hypervisor on a bare metal machine. You're installing the hypervisor on a blank machine, which is mostly used in a commercial settings, in a commercial organization. Um, Unlike type 2 hypervisor that you can have on your laptop, type 2 hypervisor stays on an existing operating system for the most part. So, and it's used in your lab. So example of type 2 hypervisor would be VirtualBox. Example of type 1 hypervisor would be Microsoft has one called Hyper-V, and VMware has one called EXSI. So today we'll be talking about type 2 hypervisor, um, specifically VirtualBox. So I'm going to show you real quick how to download VirtualBox. You go on Google and you can say VirtualBox download. And this is going to bring you to the official page of VirtualBox. Okay, now if you're running Windows server, because this is type 2. If you're running a Windows platform, you want to click on this and you can get your package. If you're running Mac, Apple, you want to download this and get your package. Solaris and all other Linux distribution. In my own case, I'm running this video on a Mac machine, so I'm gonna use this package. If you are running Windows, you want to click this package, and it's very simple and straightforward. All you gotta do is click on this guy. Click on this guy is going to pull the package. As you can see, this is the package right here. And you can open the package when done, and all you got to do is click, click, click. Of course, if you're running this on a MacBook, or you want to make sure, because this is a third-party package, you want to make sure that you authorize this package. In order to do that, if you're running Mac, you want to go to your system preference. And if I'm downloading something like this, you want to go to your security and privacy. And if this is like third-party package, it's going to ask you to authorize the package from here, and you can authorize the package. But I'm not going to go ahead and download this because I already, okay, I'm going to cancel this. So because I already have this downloaded, and all you need to do once is just next. And if you're running this on a Windows machine, on a MacBook, once you're done, if you go to your application, you should see a box like this. even though this guy is showing among other applications, is also showing like an application, but in real sense, this guy is actually not an application. It is an operating system. It is hypervisor type 2 operating system, but it's showing on your machine like an application because you have existing operating system. Okay, so in order to utilize this guy, we're going to double click on this guy and it's going to open up like this. This is like a whole new infrastructure. In this whole new infrastructure, you can create multiple machines. You can create 10 machines. You can create one machine, Windows 7, use it to watch YouTube. You can create another machine to do shoppings and all that. You can create, so you don't have to worry about um, messing up your machine with virus and all that. Once you notice your Windows or virtual machine is affected, all you need to do is right click and delete the machine. You can create another one, and your main host machine is not affected. Okay, so I want to install two different operating systems, CentOS version 6 and CentOS version 7. Okay, I already downloaded the DVD ISO, and the DVD ISO I downloaded was for 6.10 and 7.6. I'm going to show you how I did that. So if you go to Google and you type CentOS download, CentOS is a distribution of Linux. There are so many distributions of Linux. We have CentOS, we have Red Hat, we have Fedora, we have Scientific Linux, we have Kali Linux, we have Ubuntu, we have Debian, we have tons of distribution. Amazon Linux, we have tons of that. Okay, so if you go to download CentOS, so if you click on the DVD ISO, you are going to get the latest version of CentOS. Okay, and the DVD ISO, we have the DVD ISO, we have the minimal ISO. The difference in the DVD ISO and minimal ISO is the number of packages. Okay, if you download the DVD ISO, it's more robust. It has more packages than the minimal ISO. They are the same operating system, but they have different numbers of packages. But if you do not want to download the current version, you can come down here, you see where it says older version, and you can click on this guy right here, and it brings you to, this is the latest version, 7.6, and it brings you to 6.10. So with this version, I know you must have seen this in IT a lot. You see 2 point something, 2 point something, 3 point something. So this is a major version and this is a minor version. Okay, major version, minor version. Look at this, we have 3.1. We have 3.3, 3.4, 3.5, 3.6. The three you're seeing here, they are major version. Every time we move from one, like 3 to 4, we're moving to a major version. But when we move from 4.0 to 4.1, that is minor version. Okay, we do major version to do major changes in the operating system. But when we do minor version, we're just fixing things. We're fixing things. It's just like saying upgrade and update. Okay, when you do upgrade, you're buying something new, you're upgrading to a different things. But when you're updating, you're fixing the bug. You you're fixing things. Okay, and so CentOS has moved from version 2.1 to 3 to 4 to 5, and the last version for 6 is 6.10. A lot of companies are still using version 6 um, um, because most companies, especially government companies, a lot of them they are slow to, you know, they are slow to change. They don't want to change from previous operating system, and but the latest version right now is 7.6. Okay, But one thing I want you to notice from here also is that look at the end of life, okay? Which means support for 6.10 is going to be over November 30th of next year, 2020. And support for 7.6 will be over 2024, which means at some point the support for 6 will be done. And somehow, whether you want it or not, if you need support, you have to move to 7, version 7. So to download version 7, of course, you want to click on this mirror. And when you click on this mirror, you can just download any of this version. You can click on any of them. If you want the DVD ISO is right here. And you can see the size, okay, is right here. If you want the minima, remember I explained the difference between the minima and the DVD. The minima is right here. With the difference is the package. That is that. If you want to download the 6.10 is right here. This is 32-bit and this is 64-bit. You can click on this guy and we can click on any of this guy. And it's going to bring us here. This is the DVD version, which is 4 gig, and this is the minimal ISO version. And I told you the difference in this guy is just the number of packages. They're the same operating system. So for the purpose of today's lesson, I am going to go ahead and use the DVD. Okay, so let's go ahead and do our installation. One thing you should know about virtual hypervisor, everything your virtual machine is going to be using is going to inherit from your host machine. If your host machine has 4 gig of memory, okay, that means you have limitation on the number of virtual machines you can create. Because let's say I create one virtual machine now and I say this is my test 1 machine. The operating system is Linux and I'm going to be running Red Hat 64-bit. So I'm using CentOS, but CentOS I don't have CentOS here, okay, and it's managed by Red Hat also. So I'll just click Red Hat. It doesn't matter what I click here. So and I can just say continue. So what now is asking me for the size of memory. So now if I choose this 1 gig of memory, if my host machine is running, has 8 gig of memory, that means my 8 gig of memory is reduced to what? 7 gig, because I'm using 1 gig for my virtual machine. I can say continue. If I say continue and I say, now it's talking about hard disk, which is my storage. Now I'm saying create a virtual hard disk, okay, which means get part of my hard drive, okay, create, continue, and it's going to ask me, do you want this dynamically or fixed? So it's saying, so say I have 500 gig of hard drive on my machine. If I do dynamically, so what that means is if I'm assigning 50 gig of hard drive to this virtual machine, and during my installation, once I'm done with my installation, I'm only able to use like 8 gig out of the 50. When I say dynamically, it means my machine is just going to take 8 gig, even though I assign 50. It doesn't need to take the remaining 42. It's going to take 42 as needed. Okay, so which means by the time I'm done with this machine installation, my machine is still going to have 40. My machine is going to have 400 and 400 and that would be 400 minus 8. That would be 492 hard drive space. Of course, the system is going to be using some of the space. Say the system is using like 100. out of the 500. Now I have 400, and I'm assigning 50 to this machine, but I'm assigning the 50 dynamically. So now you know my main system, we have 350 left because I'm assigning 50 dynamically. Okay, and my system, my host itself is using 100 out of my 500. I have 400 and I'm assigning 50 to my virtual machine. But because after the installation of my virtual machine is only using 8 out of that 50. That means it's returning 42 back to the host. So it's going to be 42 plus 350. That is going to give me 392. So my machine, virtual machine, is going to be taking the remaining 42 as needed. Okay, and that is why it says dynamically. It's going to be taking it as needed. But when I assign fixed, it means once I say I'm giving you 50 gig, whether I'm using it or not, the virtual machine is just taking 50 gig. Okay, so we're going to click dynamically allocated, and I can now specify the number. Like the example I cited, I'll just go with the example I cited. I don't need that much, but I'll just do 50. Okay, I'll just do 50 gig, and I'm going to create that. So now that I have created my machine, this is just like buying a new machine without operating system. Now I have to put operating system on my machine. And in order for me to do that, I have to click on Start. And when I click on Start, now it's going to prompt me that where is your operating system? Remember, I downloaded those ISO, those images. Okay, I can now click this folder, and I can go to my download. Look at those things I downloaded. DVD, you see that? And I have DVD 6.10. Let me work on 6.10 first, and I can do open, and you can see my operating system right here. I can click on Start, and this is my machine right here. Okay, I can come to view and say scale mode to make it bigger. I can close this. So one thing to note about this is when you click inside, your mouse leaves, and you need to press your command button if you're working on a Mac. If you're working on a Windows machine, you have to press the Control CTRL, the one on the right. The one on the right of your keyboard, CTRL. You have to just press on the CTRL to release your mouse. Okay, for Mac, you have to press on the command on your left. So there is a command button on your keyboard on your left. Press the command button and it will release your mouse. Now you're going to press enter to install, and our installation is going to start. So anytime you're working in this VirtualBox, of course, your mouse is going to be gone. You're not going to see your mouse. If you need to see your mouse and you're working on Mac, I said press the command, enter the command button on the left. Okay, if you're working on a Windows machine, you need to press the control button on the right. Okay, now in this part, all that we're going to need is our keyboard. Your mouse may not be useful in this case. Okay, so you're going to need your keyboard. There is this left, right, up and down arrow on your keyboard. Left, right, up and down arrow on your keyboard. That is what you're going to need here. I'm going to point to my skip. You want to skip this? You want to close this? And right here, I just want to do enter for my next language, English. Okay, next, enter. And you can use your tab button. If you notice, my tab button is helping me right here. You see, if I do tab, it's going to bring it here. Another tab is bringing here. Tab here, tab here. So your tab can help you move things around. Okay, tab, enter. So yes, I'm going to say yes, discard any data. And this is where I assign a name to my machine. Host name means the name of your machine. Okay, and as we continue on this with this class, we're going to understand better what our host name is, the name of the machine, because eventually we may have 2,000 machines in the environment, and you want to be able to identify each of these machines by their name. So for this machine, I personally like to go with the name I have right here. So if I have test1 here, I want to call this machine also test1 so that I can maintain consistency. Okay. And I'm going to tab next, and this is the password. Please note, by default, there is a user on your machine called root. Just like your window machine, when you're installing your window, there is a user by default called administrator. In Linux, the administrator is root. You want to make sure you don't forget that. You have a user called root by default. Now it's asking you, assign a password for that user root. So this means at the end of our installation, we have a username called root. Now the password you want to give to that user is what this is asking for. So I'm just going to type password, okay? Just to make life easy. But here's the trick. So now if I do next, see what this is telling me. It said, you have provided a weak password. It's based on dictionary word. Linux is considered the most secure operating system. So it can detect, okay? It can detect security vulnerability and tell you, oh no, don't do this. So it's saying you're using a password that can be easily guessed, okay? Your system can be easily hacked into. But I can say, okay, I really don't care about this machine, so use it anyway, okay? But if this is a production environment, real work environment, of course, you want to make it an habit to use a good password. Use anyway. Okay, so now, for now, I am just going to say, use all space, okay? There is something called partition that we're gonna do. Partition is a way, remember we assigned 50 gig of virtual space to this machine, is actually a way of allocating, of dividing those spaces for different use, okay? But for now, I'm gonna do a separate video for partition. So for now, we're just gonna click on use all space, okay? Use all space, and we're gonna say next, and we're gonna say write changes to disk. Now, so there are different installation we can do. We have desktop, minimal, basic server, database server, web server. There are different ways we can. If we are downloaded the minimal operating system from the CentOS page, if we are downloaded the minimal, then we won't have all this option. It's just going to skip this part because we downloaded minimal. But because we downloaded the DVD, so it's giving us all this option that, you know what, you can decide to have a desktop. Even though Linux is known for command line, but if you also want a desktop interface, which is graphical interface, just like a regular Windows 10, we can actually have it. Linux is not as mature Um, as far as its desktop GUI goes, like Windows, but Linux does have a GUI also. And if you're installing this in an enterprise environment, of course, you do not want to install a GUI version of the Linux. You want to install, actually, you want to install a minimal, a basic server. Okay. For the most part, in my environment, I install minimal. And if I need additional package for any reason, now I can add those packages. You want to make your environment secure and not just installing packages that is not needed. Okay. Once you have the desktop, then it's gonna install a bunch of packages on your system. Okay. So I'm gonna leave it at desktop. Okay. And I'm gonna say next. And one of the difference between desktop and minimal. So now our system is starting installation. This process of starting installation, we can see it says, I am going to download 1,126 packages. That is a lot. Okay. If we are choosing minimal, probably going to download about 256 or 200 and something packages. Okay. So 256 compared to 1,126 packages. Most of these packages we don't need. Okay. So there is no point, you know, installing all those things on our system, but I'm just gonna do this, for the sake of this training. Okay, I'll go ahead and pause the video while we go through the download. Thank you. So after that is done, we're gonna say congratulations, your CentOS installation is complete, and we can reboot. Um, Of course, we want to use our tab and we can reboot. After reboot, we can have access to our server. So a few things I also want you to note if you're working on a VirtualBox. So the way VirtualBox works, okay? So you have your host machine, which is running on a network. However, your virtual machine is going to be running on a different network. So your hypervisor, type 2 hypervisor, has the capability of generating a subnet, a DHCP server, and it's going to be using your host machine to generate a DHCP server for the virtual machine in this hypervisor to use, which means whatever application you create on this server right here will not be able to communicate with your host server. There are two different isolated environments. So this is what we see. We can now click forward, forward. We don't have to create a user. Remember, we have that user root. And I can just proceed and say forward. And it will say you did not set up a user. Are you sure you want to continue? Yes, I want to continue. Forward. So it's saying insufficient memory. Okay. We can say okay, and we can finish. And we are done with our operating system. But like I was explaining to you guys, your virtual machine is going to be running off a different network from the network of your machine. So in order to make sure your virtual machine is running on the same network, you definitely want to bridge your network. And I'm going to talk more about that in our next video. But for now, let's log in. As remember, I said root, and our password is password. And I am in the server right now. I can say do not show that again. And I can come right here and close this. And I have my server right here. Okay, how do I bridge my network? If you go over to where it says machine right here, if you go to the settings, right here, you should be able to, yeah, if you go to the settings, see where it says network, we go to network and it says NAT. We can change the NAT and change it to bridge. Okay, change the NAT to bridge. I will say okay. The moment we do that, what we're doing is we are bridging this network. You know, I said there are different networks. Now we are bridging the network to our host network. Now, whatever you do on this server can be accessed from your host machine. Okay. So, but that doesn't mean our network is working yet. We still have to configure our network. But in order to go to the command line, you know, Linux is known for its command capability. But now because we installed the desktop, which is not as mature as Windows desktop. So, but in order for us to go to the command line, we can come right here and click on, I believe we can click on our application, and from our application we can go to, yeah, the system is so slow. Okay, I'm trying to go to system, but it's not. For some reason it's not going to. Okay, so we can go to our application and we go to our system tools. Actually, we go to our application, system tools, and from system tools we're going to see application. Come on, come on, come on. Yeah, that's probably because of the size of memory assigned. Application. So I'm using my keyboard now, system tools, and you see where it says terminal. That is what we want. We want the terminal. And I can click on the terminal, and here is the terminal. Okay, this is where the terminal is. Okay, and this is where I have my Linux command. Now I can start typing my command, and I'm going to show you how to configure the network in our next video. But now this is how you log in to your machine, CentOS 6. Thank you for watching.